freaking pulls. Dude! It just keeps chugging. It does not slow down. Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. Alright, well, as you can see, the Sur Ron is fixed. So it turns out it was a bit of a combination situation. Half of the problem was the old motor controller was broken. The other half of the problem was that I'm an idiot. So motor controller broke, swapped out the motor controller with the new E-Moto Bros that I was gonna get anyway. Got everything up and running. Egg rider was turning on, still was getting nothing. So I was confused. And it turns out I just didn't set up the software properly. I only did about half of what I needed to do. It was trying to run at like 250 watts, which is of course not enough to drive this motor. So it was probably just trying to drive it. Nothing was happening. It was giving up. So bike is back together, and holy crap, guys. I mean, you saw the intro shots. It is amazing what this little piece of metal does to this bike. I reckon this is the single best upgrade for the price that you can get for this vehicle. Now, for me, brake pads, pegs, and riser bars, I think, are the first upgrades you should get before you start spending any real money, just to make the bike safe and comfortable. In terms of having the most fun possible, I seriously feel that getting a BAC4000 is more important than getting forks. A little tip, I highly recommend pulling these caps off and putting fork oil in here in the suspension, because the suspension does not come with fork oil. It just has like grease in there, and these seals get super dry and the stanchions totally suck. So I pulled these caps off, put fork oil in there. If you do that, the fork actually feels acceptable. The jump from 4,000 watts to 7,000 watts is so important for this bike. I mean, when I got it, it's peppy, you know, like the 10 to 15 miles an hour is pretty good, but from 15 to top speed, it kind of dies. It kind of falls off. It feels like a commuter bike, you know. It doesn't feel like it has life anymore. It still gets you there, and for a lot of trail stuff, that's fine. You know, a lot of the tight trails, especially around where I live, are 15 to 25 mile per hour trails, and the bike is actually pretty peppy for those speeds. But I always felt as if it just needed a little extra power. I've seen people getting 72 volt batteries and BAC4000s and running like 15 kilowatts, and I feel for this bike that is just totally overkill. There's just no need for 20 horsepower, 15 kilowatts, 20 horsepower out of a bike like this. But that being said, the 4 kilowatts or 6 horsepower that it comes with is not enough for this bike. The jump from 4 kilowatts to 7 kilowatts wakes the bike up, absolutely wakes it up. Honestly, the 0 to 15 is pretty similar. It's not necessarily more torquey, it just has more power throughout the entire band. The jump is so good, and I'm just super stoked to have this. I'm super stoked to have my bike working again. It's a freaking beautiful day out. I think the main takeaway is after you got new brake pads, new pegs, and new bars, which are important for safety and comfort, before you get a Fox 40, before you get a DHX2, before you get a humongous battery, just get a BAC4000, run it at 7,000 watts. It has increased the fun factor of the bike more than suspension ever could. The stock suspension is not that bad if you put the fork oil in it, by the way. Okay, I'm gonna get some angry comments, okay? If you put fork oil in the fork like it should come from factory, I don't know why they don't put shock oil in it, but if you put shock oil, fork oil, whatever in there, it actually makes it acceptable, and therefore the limiting factor is the lack of power. So let's go do some riding. I have done plenty of jabbering. Alright guys, sun's getting low. I don't think my GoPro is going to be seeing anything for much longer, so thank you guys for watching. Again, shout out to Lonnie. Holy frick, he came in so heavy. And I'm glad my bike's working again. Next up, big battery.